Ransomware ate my homework. That may be your kid's new excuse.
So, George, I understand that if you have a QNAP network attached storage device, that you've got some administration to do today. Can you tell us more about that?
Yep, for sure. I mean, this is not the first time that a NAS device has been on the news for a security vulnerability. But I thought this was a good time to bring it up, considering we just talked about ransomware. It kind of may apply to some organizations or people. So QNAP typically has been pretty popular lately with vulnerabilities. And in this case, this specific series of software, I guess it's not actually the model that matters, but the software that you're using, right? So there's a photo station software that a lot of people use. I have a Synology server, and I used to use their photo application as well, which is very similar to QNAP because it gives you a lot of features. It's very convenient, very easy to use. But at the same time, it's accessible everywhere pretty much, which is why a lot of people like it. You can access it from your phone, from a website remotely, and it's very convenient. And the malicious, actors out there found a way to take advantage of that. So there's a vulnerability in one of the versions of that software that allows for some command injection and cross-site scripting. So they've injected some code right into the photo station app that when the user from their machine hits that page, it executes that code without the user knowing, right? Because it's embedded within the site, and it would typically give the other side access to that machine, or give the malicious side the same privileges that the user has. And since most people don't create separate local users on their machines, almost everybody's logged in as admin. Typically, they'll have that local admin access, and they can do whatever they want on that network or whatever network that machine is currently logged into. And I thought, even though we've seen this before, I thought now's a good time to bring this up because in the last few weeks with all the holiday sales going on, Black Friday, Christmas, and all the holiday stuff, this QNAP devices have been on sale quite a bit. And a lot of people have been biting and purchasing them because it's a good product. It's a good product. It's a decent price. So I think, and this is another reason why it's a big attack vector, right? Because they know a lot of people nowadays are trying to back up their photos. Everybody's iPhones and Android devices have 128 to 512 gig, right? It's a lot of images, and nobody wants to lose them. And people are just dumping their images onto these boxes and hoping that they would be there in the future. And I think this is a really good target, right? People don't want to lose their pictures. So if they're able to get a hold of somebody's QNAP box and encrypt everything, right? And drop ransomware on there, people may pay a few $100, right, to get those memories back. So that's why I brought this up on this particular episode. And as usual, they've already created a patch for it, right? So QNAP has a patch. You can just go to the site, go log into the administrative console on your QNAP device. Just go to the update section, and the article itself has instructions also. It links you to instructions, and you can easily update to the latest version, and you won't have this problem. But because not a lot of people do that, and it's not an automatic update from what I understand, there will be plenty of boxes that are vulnerable.
Well, what's interesting is that I think we've reached a point as a society where, come Christmas afternoon, it's not about running out to the store to buy batteries for all the cool stuff that you got under the Christmas tree. It's, okay, I'm going to sit down and apply patches for several hours to all the cool stuff I got under my Christmas tree, right?
Yeah.
Because, this stuff has been in a box for, several months, by the time it was manufactured and shipped and distributed and everything else like that. So it's like you're literally unboxing security vulnerabilities on Christmas morning and going to plug those into your network, right? So, there's certainly that kind of concern. And, I joke in part, but, there really is some truth there. And as we look at, what the year has brought us in terms of increased distance working, distance learning, and those types of things, you now are going to have kind of more of a stake in the game, because it's not necessarily just about photos. It's whether or not your kid can go to school on Monday. Right. Because if that beachhead is on your home network and they crypto lock your home network, well, guess what? Johnny's not going to class. You know, and that becomes a problem. Or, the parents aren't able to actually go to work. And of course, if that's a, company owned device somewhere on that network, then there's some challenges there from an incident response perspective, right? So it just snowballs.
That's a great point you bring up, right? That's something I didn't even think of, because you'll have your children that are logged into a Zoom or whatever they're using to get to school, right? And we're logged into our corporate asset, which is still on the same network, and we may get infected. And another thing, whatever your child's projects they're working on, if you bought this shiny new NAS, you're probably like, just put it all there, don't worry, it'll back up, and he may or she may lose some serious projects, like if it gets encrypted. And another thing I kind of wanted to bring up based on my own experience with this kind of a product is, you really don't want to rely on one form of backup like this, right? It's an excellent tool. Like I said, I use a similar product, and it's really nice to just be able to hit a button and back up all of your documents and images to something that's physically kind of separated, not via network, but physically, like it's not on a laptop that you constantly move around or you may drop. It's in a closet somewhere that it's not going to be harmed physically. But I think a good strategy here would be, if you do have a QNAP Synology, any NAS like this set up, you're probably going to want to think of a secondary backup. And I think a good solution, if you trust them, would be some sort of a cloud backup. It's something that I'm thinking about. And then I realized when I started the process with Synology, it accepts configurations from Azure, from Google Cloud, from AWS, right? S3 buckets. It's really nifty to be able to set up a process where you can take everything in that NAS and push it off to a cloud service. Because if for some reason you have a power spike and everything in your house that's electronic goes, you could feel a little bit of comfort knowing you have access to those files elsewhere. But you have to also be very, very careful with setting up a cloud storage, because they are going to give you the basic, right? They're going to give you the basic setup. You're going to have your S3 bucket or your Azure instance, but you have to make sure that is secure and is only allowed to be accessed by you or your NAS device, whether it's a security certificate, a key. I did notice that it's very easy to get into that setup process and say, I'm just going to allow an open connection, right? Just because it's easier. Please, make sure that you secure that connection. And they've made it fairly intuitive to do that. So just follow the steps, whichever cloud service you're using. But that's the only advice I can give when using a product like this. They're very good, but you should have a secondary, maybe even a tertiary form of backup to a NAS device.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one thing that I would wonder is whose kid will be the first to try the ransomware ate my homework excuse.
Oh man, right? I wonder if that's been used yet. That's clever. I would definitely use that.